You can let that play. I love that song. You may say I'm a dreamer. I can't sing, but wow, what an introduction. Connie, I just want to thank you. You really raised the bar in calling me your hero with all of the work that you do and all of the folks from the McSilver Institute and on the board members, all of the giants that you're surrounded by, and yet you call me one of your heroes. Marty, I'm happy to be in the same class as you. Let's give them a strong round of applause. I want to thank Gary and Mary as well, and of course I wanted to say that it's amazing to be sitting and being honored with the class of honorees that are here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a strong round of applause. Before I forget, special shout out to BCC, the Bronx Community Collaborative. Thank you for the work that you do. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you, because when you speak of poverty and the work that you do around research, the time that you've committed yourself to trying to change people's lives, what's the most intriguing thing about the work that you all do here and folks outside of this room is that you do it for people who A, don't know you're doing it for them, and B, you don't even know and may never even meet. That's amazing. When you speak of doing God's work, think about that. Somebody who doesn't know you're working on their behalf, or somebody who is not going to recognize your sacrifice, especially when so many of you have done so well with your education and your careers, and you could go on and not worry, and you have your own concerns. You know, it reminds me of the story of a young boy born in the 70s in the Bronx when it was all burned down. This young boy didn't have bouncing gyms and parks the way kids have today. In fact, there was rubble, and what he would do with his friends is he would put use mattresses on top of each other and do flips, have the time of his life. This young boy in the 80s saw the crack epidemic come into the Bronx and to urban areas in New York City, Brooklyn, Brownsville. This young boy saw shootouts. This young boy saw crime as if it was okay to live that way. As a teenager, this young boy fell in love, and in high school, got his girlfriend pregnant. This young boy went and tried to do the best that he could and had an apartment in some, subsidized apartment on Fox Street where there was all this noise and all this confusion and drug selling outside and where rats would die inside the walls and you smell the stench. Think about that, teenage, seeing everything around, burned down neighborhoods. This young boy was ripe for poverty. But yet there were people like you in this young boy's life who believed, who perhaps did not know him, but led the way for social justice and for educational opportunities. This young boy wound up going to CUNY University, getting 2 degrees, being the best father that he can. It's not a bad thing that this young boy then went on to be the youngest assembly member at the time and served in the New York State Assembly for almost 13 years and became the 13th borough president of the borough of the Bronx. And that this young boy is still very much in love with that young lady that they were pregnant in high school, and they've been together 25 years, and then last Monday they saw their oldest son graduate from Boston Community College. I say that because, yes, that's my story. My story is one that I saw the different challenges. I've lived as a young father, as a young husband, as a teenager, the very thing that you are all trying to fight against. And there were teachers and principals like Mr. Peloso and Miss Coletti and Ms. Russo and Mr. Black who stayed the course, and mentors, and they were my parents. And all these things that helped to form who I am today. So, ladies and gentlemen, shame on me if I'm the borough president, if I don't have this anxiety. In Spanish, we call it inquietud. I can't stay still. Shame on me if I feel like I have no time to waste. As the borough president, like it was said earlier in my introduction by Connie, yes, we've been able to see almost $700 million in housing, but not just any kind of housing. It is all, ladies and gentlemen, been built in a sustainable way in our borough. We have things like Villa Verde, which is the national paradigm of green build. We have Bronxchester, a housing development going up at the hub. There's 960 plus units. There's going to be even greener than Villa Verde. And all of this is happening right in the footprint. If you ever saw the movie The Fort Apache of the Bronx, right there where the Bronx was burned down. Or better yet, if you saw the 1977 World Series, when the panoramic view of the Goodyear blimp and Howard Cosell was screaming, "The Bronx is burning," it is all happening right there. We also have a boutique hotel there called the Bronx Opera House Hotel. You should come and check it out. And it's a real hotel, not one of those roach motels either. We've seen in the last 4 years, because I played in the rubble, over $350 million in monies to our public parks, so that kids growing up now have real parks to play in. We have seen an infusion in private dollars, almost $6 billion in private dollars alone. That is the reason why currently right now we're building the largest indoor mall in the city of New York in Bay Plaza. That is the reason why we're about to build the largest national ice skating complex in the country, in the Kingsbridge Armory. That is the reason why we want to expose our kids to other sports that they're not accustomed to, like ice hockey, like golf with the Donald Trump golf course, or even tennis with the Carrie Lee's Tennis Center going up as a public-private partnership at Crotona Park. Yeah, you could clap for that. That's good. That is the reason why we made sure that working with the governor and with the mayor that we get Fresh Direct, the online grocer who wanted to leave or needs to leave Long Island City and was going to go to New Jersey. Well, we're bringing them right to the Bronx, saving 2,300 jobs, putting Bronxites to work, and not a shovel has gone into the floor as of this date. They're still in Long Island City and they're hiring people. 627 out of the 2,300 employees come from the Bronx. You see, it's about, and tomorrow we are going to announce with the governor, Andrew Cuomo, at Hostos Community College, this collaboration between my office, the Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, and the Department of Labor, so that we can make sure that we're not just creating jobs for Bronxites, for jobs in the Bronx, but we're creating them for Bronxites. There's a big difference. When you speak of poverty, we need to make sure that Bronxites get to work. So when you see all of this development, they're not just looking around and saying, all these billions of dollars, but what about me? We're making sure that they not only have retail jobs, but also we have these Sunshine Studios at the Banknote Building in Hunts Point, which once upon a time was known for some of those sins in the Bronx River. We are making sure that our waterfront is being developed. I put out a plan where we're calling for between 149th Street and 138th Street along the Harlem River, so that we can build up and have residential and commercial and also waterfront access. We've been working with the most vulnerable, where we've developed an advisory board since I've been there with the New York City Housing Authority, ensuring that the New York City Housing Authority has great community programmatic centers, that they're retrofitted in the right way, investing Reso 8 money or capital dollars there, putting in cameras and surveillance so they can feel safe, but also making sure that they compete like we did with the Betances housing development, so they can compete with what's called Choice Neighborhoods, which is a federal program that will give them the money so that they can come up with health initiatives and job development and other things, not just for Betances, but for the surrounding neighborhoods. I tell you all of this because this is the new Bronx. This is not the Bronx that it was when I was young, when I was a teenager. Is life perfect? Absolutely not. The reason why I'm here tonight, while I appreciate this award, I think is a great acknowledgement of what's happening in the borough. But it's because, more importantly, life is not perfect in the Bronx, and there's so much more work that needs to be done. With the intellectual capital and the commitment that I know is in this room and beyond these walls, come and be a part of that. We welcome it. We need you. This is a wonderful time to address poverty, to address certain social ills in our borough and really make a difference. We have so much to celebrate. Last week we finished the Bronx Week. And we highlighted all of the good things. You know, we're the borough where salsa was born. We're the borough where hip-hop was born. We're the borough where doo-wop was. We're pretty diverse. I know a lot of good things are happening in Brooklyn, but the Bronx is where it's popping too, you know? And I'll just leave you with this. Keep going. Sometimes the work that you do, you don't realize. Sometimes you don't see, or you may not feel the deliverables. But if you look at the Bronx, and if you see what I see, and if you experience what I've experienced, when we were left for dead, when we were burning down, and if you can see how it is now, if you haven't been there in a while, certainly we've been experiencing that here in Brooklyn and other parts of the city. You have to believe. You have to stay committed. You can make a change. Many of you have been making a change. Marty, as it pertains to the Bronx River, you fished there once upon a time, and then when I was a teenager, you couldn't even go in there. But now in the Bronx River, we have even 2 beavers. We have Joe Beaver, and yeah, the kids named it, there's a Justin Beaver. But the Bronx River has come back in a long way. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of God's country, the Boogie Down Bronx, where God's work is happening, I accept this recognition. Thank you for recognizing that we are the new Bronx, that we want to shed the negative stereotypes and the images of yesteryear, but still that we're not naive in thinking that life is perfect. And so after today, I look forward to working with anyone in this room who wants to continue to help with the progression of my borough. God bless you and thank you. The Bronx has really turned the corner. So what's next for me is just making sure that we develop the waterfront like you see in Brooklyn, like you see in Long Island City or in the west side of Manhattan. Making sure that when we do that housing, that we do it in a mixed way where we retain our professionals. But there are also big items that are coming down the pipeline. For instance, the 4 Metro North stations, one in Hunts Point, one in Hunts Point, one in Parkchester, Morris Park, as well as Co-op City. This will be transformative for the borough. This is a way for us to have Bronxites be able to not only look for job opportunities in Manhattan and get here in under half an hour, but even if they want to go up north to Stamford, Connecticut. So the opportunities are endless. We're really pushing the envelope as to what people think of the Bronx, shedding our negative images, rebranding the borough, inviting businesses in, but letting them also understand that if you want to do business in the Bronx, you have to do business with the Bronx. So, it's sort of like paying it forward, and I strongly believe in that. And for me, it's just an honor to have that hard work being recognized here today, and also have my borough recognized by such a wonderful institution like the McSilver Institute.